Do you guys smell that? Because it smells like Craig Breslow's cooking something in this bitch. Chris Sale, out of here. Vaughn Grissom, get in here, pal. Craig Breslow is traded. The Chris Sale era, I mean, it's come to an end. It's still a little shocking that it happened like this. I know there were chances for it to happen the last deadline last year. It's finally happened. Alex Cora's projected 2024 opening day starter out. Vaughn Grissom in. The Red Sox finally have a second baseman. Pray to God the Red Sox finally have a second baseman again. And Chris Sale's out. Now, I do want to start with Chris Sale. He came here, was the ace of the team for several seasons, delivered a ring. The trade was great. Objectively great trade with the White Sox. The extension, boy oh boy, you want to talk about one of the worst contracts the Red Sox have ever given out. And since it was injury related, it's not a fun thing to say. It's not like anyone's gloating that the contract extension sucked. However, Dombrowski, I believe it was his last move, far and away his worst, giving Chris Sale that extension a year before he hit free agency. And he never lived up to the extension, not for a second. The Red Sox are paying the Braves $17 million for Chris Sale to play for a World Series contender this year. He had a no-trade clause. Obviously, they were going to ship him to some bums. Ship him to the Braves. I think he's going to be really good for the Braves. His overall numbers last year, and of course he was hurt again last year, his overall numbers don't look amazing when he was pitching, especially after that first stretch, that first month of games or so. He was dialed in. He looked like that guy again. Now, Peter Gammons just tweeted out some stats. It was really just the Orioles who were fucking his shit up. Chris Sale in 2023. Naturally, Peter Gammons wrote Chris Sale in 2003. Versus Baltimore, 4 games started, 0-3, 10.06 ERA. Bad. Not great. Really bad. Orioles were really good, but bad. Versus everyone else in baseball, 16 games started, 6-2 with a 3.21 ERA. So yeah, people are saying, "Oh, Chris Sale's washed. He's this, he's that." I don't think so. He's just very injury prone. He weighs 100 pounds soaking wet. He rides his bike like Evel Knievel. He gets banged up. It happens. Excuse me. When he pitched against everyone but the Orioles last year, he was damn good. I don't know if the Braves are going to be running to the Orioles much. Maybe late October they come together. I'm sure they'll have a series or two throughout the season with the new balanced schedule. Shouldn't be a big problem for the Braves. They think they're requiring a guy who can pitch at least half the season and hopefully be ready for October and just fill in after Strider. I understand what they're doing. I'm seeing what I love about this trade the most right now is I'm seeing a lot of Braves fans on my timeline asking why. Why did we give up on Vaughn? Obviously, he was blocked in Atlanta, but they're thinking they didn't get nearly enough for a guy. Every Braves fan I've seen fucking loves this guy. Obviously, I remember 2 years ago he came up, debuted at Fenway, knocked a homer in his debut. Love that. Love that foreshadowing. But he was blocked last year. He came into spring training, worked with Ron Washington to be their starting shortstop in wake of Dansby Swanson going to the Cubs. Arcia takes that job. We all know how that ended. But he was an all-star for them last year, so I'm not sure they were all upset with how that ended up. But they found themselves with a 22-year-old, going to be 23 next week, or this week, 23 this week, with nowhere to really play him. Obviously, they've got Ozzie Albies paying for 17 cents an hour at second. They like what they got out of Arcia at short last year. They're trying him in the outfield, but then they went out and they traded for Kelnick, who obviously has an incredibly high ceiling and has shown he can play up to that ceiling during stretches with Seattle last year. I love this move. Couldn't love this move more. Again, it opens up another hole in starting rotation that had a hole prior to this trade. A lot of people are already connecting dots that this must mean they feel pretty confident Paxton's going to be back. That would make a lot of sense. I still think they would still need to go get yet another starter. Paxton obviously looked good when he first came back last year from injury. He wore down. Plenty of people pointing to the fact that, yeah, he hadn't pitched in about 2.5 years, a full season, taxing a guy over the age of 30. Yeah, that probably wasn't going to end that well. But when I look at Bayo, expect him to take a leap. Giolito, expect him to look like the guy from the first half last year, not the second half last year. Crawford, I like a lot. Pivetta, I like in doses. There are days where Pivetta looks like an ace. There's days he definitely looks like a 5. But I don't have a problem with Pivetta. It's really the last two guys, Houck and Whitlock. That's where I have big questions, huge questions. Whitlock has been elite as a reliever, shown flashes as a starter. Those flashes are few and far between at this point in the experiment. Houck, he's a twice through the order guy. Seems like a reliever to me. Seems like a reliever to most people. He and the Red Sox are like, no, I'm a starter. So if that's still the plan with them two being your 4-5 or your 5-6, however they want to do that, hate that plan. Don't like it at all. I still think they need 2 starters, especially after this trade. Even if you had asked me yesterday after the Giolito thing, I still would have been looking at least 1 more starter, and that was factoring Sale in. If not 2, even with Sale factored in because of the injury concerns. So now we sit here, Chris Sale's Red Sox tenure over. You still have to call it a success. I mean, he was dominant when he first got here, those 2 seasons. 18, dominant, as well as the rest of the team. Closing the World Series the way he did, Kang, Machado. Iconic Red Sox moment in the 21st century. Love Chris Sale for everything he did. It's just really since he signed that extension, it's a team that's been begging for someone to step up and be an ace, even be a number 2, and he just hasn't been able to give you that. People were freaking out when they found out Heim maybe potentially had a chance to just dump his salary last season. People were like, oh, well, what's Heim doing? What are you doing? Why can't you trade that guy? Now it's looking like a great thing that he didn't trade that guy. Because if it were just straight salary, someone's going to eat all his money. You're not going to get anything worthwhile in return for that. I don't remember if it even came out, what it was leaked to be. I don't even know. So that's why I'm saying I don't know if it came out. But right now, paying $17 million for 6 years of control of Vaughn Grissom, yeah, I'll take that over just straight up dumping Chris Sale's salary last year when you're already under the CBT. Vaughn Grissom slides in. I've seen some people also say, oh, let's put him at short and Story at second. No, that's not the idea. Vaughn Grissom last year was battling out for shortstop because he's an athletic middle infielder / you can put him in corner outfield if you want. But because he's athletic, he worked with Ron Washington. Defense is not his calling card. He is a contact hitter. I know Stats posted his numbers juxtaposed to Cedar Rafaela's numbers. In terms of, he has much better eye than Rafaela. Rafaela's a little better barrel rate than Grisham. But Grisham's not known to be Ozzie Smith Jr. necessarily. That's a guy you put at second. We've had this hole at second since Machado took out Dustin Pedroia a fucking decade ago at this point. That's what it feels like, at least. Story's healthy. He's had his first healthy offseason really since he signed with the Red Sox. He's your shortstop. We haven't had a second baseman. This is your second baseman. Done. Enough. Enough. Moving Story back to second after all he did was surgery, building his arm strength back up. He looked fine at short last year. There's no need to fuck with that. He's your shortstop. This is your second baseman. Done. No Whit Merrifield, no Tim Anderson, no Jonathan India, nothing. This is, unless they're trading Story, which who fucking knows what Craig's cooking at this point. He's in the kitchen. He's got pots on every burner. He's whipping it up. He's working. All right. They took a 3-month vacation from the end of the season until yesterday. And now he's full cook mode. Let him cook. Just let him cook. Welcome to Boston, Vaughn Grissom. Thank you for your services, Chris Sale. I'm thrilled. The Red Sox have a second baseman again. It's another right-handed bat in the lineup. Guy who could potentially hit leadoff for you. I don't think they need to start that way, but potentially. He's got the eye for it, as the kids like to say. couldn't be more happy. Get me some more pitchers. Get me one more bat. And let's go field a competitive ball club. No one's out here saying this move puts you in the World Series, this, that, or the third. It's a step in the right direction. Much like the Giolito signing was a step in the right direction, this is yet another step in a better direction. Thank you, Craig. Keep on cooking, pal.